Here is a fact. It is a quiet one, but it will echo across generations. In many nations, the sound of children's laughter is fading. For the first time in modern history, we are not making enough of ourselves to replace the population we have. A great silence is beginning to fall. A country needs an average of 2.1 children per woman to keep its numbers steady over time. This is the replacement rate. It is the simple biological arithmetic that underpins the future of every society on Earth. But across the developed world, and increasingly in other regions, that number is no longer being met. It has fallen, and it continues to fall. This is not a distant problem. It is happening now. It is reshaping our world in ways we are only just beginning to comprehend. This demographic shift is a profound change in the human story. We have faced plagues, famines, wars, yet our populations have always recovered, always grown. Now something different is occurring. The decline is not driven by catastrophe but by choice. Millions of individual personal decisions are combining to create a global trend of immense power. A decision in a kitchen, a whispered conversation between partners, a career chosen, a life path imagined. The consequences, however, will be anything but quiet. They will touch every aspect of our lives, from the structure of our families to the strength of our economies. The scale of this phenomenon is truly global. This is happening now. The trend is not uniform, but its direction is clear. It is a wave moving across the globe, gathering force as it goes. The first to feel its full impact were the nations of East Asia. South Korea now has the lowest birth rate in the world, a figure hovering near 0.7. This is not just below replacement, it is a demographic freefall. If this trend were to continue, each new generation would be less than half the size of the one before it. Japan is another stark example, a nation already shrinking by hundreds of thousands each year. Its society is aging at an unprecedented rate, creating a future where 1 in 3 people could be over 65. In Europe, the story is similar, with regional variations. Italy, Spain now post some of the lowest birth rates on the continent. Their beautiful hilltop towns, once teeming with life, are becoming quiet museums. Young people leave, few are born to replace them. In Eastern Europe, the situation is more acute. Decades of emigration after the Iron Curtain and falling birth rates have created a perfect storm. Bulgaria, Latvia, Ukraine. This is a hollowing out of nations. The phenomenon is no longer confined to the developed world. It's appearing in middle-income countries, faster than experts predicted. Brazil. In India, birth rates have fallen to around replacement level. Even in parts of Africa, urban birth rates are starting to fall. There is no single cause for this great demographic shift. It is the result of a complex interplay of forces, economic, social, personal. At its core is economic uncertainty. The dream of a stable, prosperous life feels more distant for young people than it did for their parents. The cost of housing has soared in cities worldwide, putting a secure home out of reach. Job security has weakened. Short-term contracts, the gig economy. Many feel they cannot afford the decades-long cost of raising a child. Choosing to wait or have fewer children is often a rational response to economic anxiety. Alongside economic pressures, a revolution in the role of women has reshaped family life. Women now access education and careers on a scale equal to men. This is one of the great liberation stories of our time, but societies have been slow to adapt. Workplaces, social expectations, division of household labor. Many women face an impossible choice, a career or a family. More often they manage both, a second shift of unpaid care after paid work. That pressure leads many to delay childbirth and often have fewer children. The environment we live in also matters. We have become an urban species. For the first time, more than half of humanity now lives in cities, a share that keeps growing. City life offers opportunity, excitement, connection, but it can be a challenging place to raise a family. Apartments are often small and expensive. Green spaces can be scarce. Village community support has often been replaced by urban anonymity. Large families can seem impractical and overwhelming. The city has become an unintentional brake on population growth. There's been a profound shift in values and aspirations. Expectations to marry young and have many children have faded. Individual freedom and self-realization are central life goals. Travel. Pursue passions. Invest in personal growth. Growing awareness of environmental challenges, climate change, resource depletion, leads some to question adding more people to a stressed world. These are not selfish choices, but deeply considered ones. It's complicated. The effects of a falling birth rate are not abstract statistics, they are written into the landscape and into the lives of people. It often begins in the countryside in small towns and villages that were once the heart of a nation. As young people leave for cities to find jobs and education, they take the future with them. The first sign is often the school. One year, a classroom is closed. The next year, the whole school shuts. The empty playground stands silent. Then the local shopkeeper retires and no one takes over the business. The doctor's clinic closes. Bus service is reduced. Houses that rang with family life fall quiet, their windows dark. This hollowing out creates a landscape of deep loneliness. The population that remains is overwhelmingly elderly. They care for each other as best they can, but the support of a multi-generational community is gone. Something as simple as getting groceries, seeing a doctor, or having a conversation becomes a daily challenge. In parts of Japan there are villages with more scarecrows in the fields than people. These are not just dying towns, they are communities grieving a vanished world. This is the human face of demographic decline. The economic consequences ripple from these towns to the whole nation. A shrinking workforce means a slower economy. Fewer people producing goods and paying taxes makes the national pie smaller. That creates a vicious cycle. Slower growth means fewer opportunities, which pushes young people to emigrate, deepening the decline. Meanwhile, costs for an aging society skyrocket. Pension and healthcare systems, built on young workers paying for retirees, are pushed to the brink. This is the demographic time bomb governments fear. It forces agonizing choices: raise taxes, cut benefits, or ask people to work much later. The cultural impact is subtle but profound. Culture is passed down by stories, rituals, and shared experiences. With fewer children who will learn the local dialect, who will carry on the festival, who will bake grandmother's recipes, a way of life can become fragile. Societies with few children can become less focused on the future, more risk-averse, and more resistant to change. The dynamism and optimism youth brings can fade, replaced by a sense of managed decline. The very identity of a nation can feel uncertain. Well, that's the human story. Faced with this silent crisis, governments around the world are beginning to react in a variety of ways. They are deploying a wide array of policies, often at enormous expense, to persuade their citizens to have more children. These efforts represent a massive social and financial experiment, a frantic search for the key that will unlock family formation. The most common approach is direct financial support, baby bonus, a one-time cash payment for each child born, monthly stipend, a child allowance designed to offset the high costs of raising a family. Hungary offers one of the most aggressive examples of this strategy. It offers a suite of generous financial incentives, including large, low-interest loans for married couples that are forgiven in stages as they have children. Families with 4 or more children are even granted a lifetime exemption from paying income tax. These policies are a direct state intervention into the family lives of its citizens, a multi-billion-dollar effort to engineer a demographic recovery. They represent a clear bet that money is the primary obstacle to family growth, and that the state can, and should, pay to remove it. Other nations focus more on services than on cash. In France, a long-established and heavily subsidized system of high-quality public childcare, or crèche, has helped keep the country's birth rate among the highest in Europe. The logic here is different. It is not just about money, but about time and opportunity. By providing affordable and reliable childcare from a very early age, the state makes it easier for both parents, and particularly mothers, to remain in the workforce. Similarly, policies mandating generous paid parental leave for both mothers and fathers are designed to ease the transition into parenthood and promote more equitable sharing of caregiving responsibilities within the family. Despite these vast expenditures and creative policies, the results have been mixed at best. In South Korea, the government has spent over $200 billion on pro-family policies over the last 2 decades, yet its birth rate has continued to fall to record lows. Money can help, but it cannot, on its own, command a new generation into existence. As native birth rates fall, many nations are turning to another source of population growth: immigration. The logic seems straightforward. If you do not have enough young people, you can invite them from other parts of the world. Immigrants are often young, motivated, and eager to work. They can fill labor shortages, start businesses, and pay the taxes needed to support an aging population. For countries like Canada, Australia, the United States, immigration has long been the primary driver of population growth. For shrinking nations in Europe and Asia, embracing immigration on a similar scale is being presented as a necessity. Immigrants can revitalize declining industries, fill essential jobs from agriculture to elder care. They bring new skills, new perspectives, and entrepreneurial energy. Walk through London, Toronto, New York, and you see their vibrancy. Immigrants can be a lifeline for emptying towns. A new family arriving can keep the local school open or keep the shop in business. They are an infusion of hope. However, relying on immigration alone is fraught with challenges. The first is scale. Offsetting losses in Japan or Italy would require millions each year, a level that's logistically and socially difficult to manage. Integration requires investment in language training, housing, education, and job support. Without it, newcomers can become marginalized, forming isolated communities and social friction. Large-scale immigration sparks political and cultural debates. Some fear it will change national identity, erode traditions, and strain social services. Those fears can drive anti-immigrant sentiment and unrest. There's also the brain drain from sending countries. Immigration is not a simple fix. It needs careful planning, sustained investment, and broad social consensus. While financial incentives and immigration are the most discussed solutions, a broader and more holistic approach is needed. The challenge is to create societies where people feel confident and supported enough to build the families they desire. This begins with reimagining the world of work. The rigid 9-to-5 in-office model is a relic of a past era. Greater flexibility, such as remote work options, part-time roles, and adaptable hours would allow both mothers and fathers to better balance work and child care. Making work more family-friendly is not a concession, it is a vital adaptation for a sustainable future. Crucially, this must be accompanied by a revolution in childcare and parental leave. Affordable, high-quality childcare should be seen not as a private luxury, but as essential public infrastructure, as important as roads and bridges. When parents know their children are in a safe and enriching environment, they are more free to work and contribute to the economy. Equally important is generous paid parental leave that is encouraged for both parents. When fathers take leave, it helps to normalize their role as caregivers, promotes a more equitable division of labor at home, and strengthens the bond with their children from the very beginning. We must also address the physical environment. Our cities and towns need to be designed for families. Invest in affordable, family-sized housing instead of just small apartments for single people. Create safe public parks, playgrounds, and community centers where children can play and neighbors can connect. Reliable public transportation that can accommodate strollers and walkable neighborhoods with schools, shops, and clinics close by. A society that values children must make physical space for them. It must build a world that welcomes them at every turn. Finally, we can harness the power of technology and rethink our approach to aging. Automation and artificial intelligence can help mitigate labor shortages in some sectors, allowing a smaller workforce to remain highly productive. At the same time, we must abandon outdated ideas about retirement. Many people in their 60s and 70s are healthy, experienced, and eager to continue contributing. Create opportunities for flexible, part-time work and mentorship roles for older citizens to ease pension burdens and tap into a valuable reservoir of wisdom and skill. Adapting to an older population means enabling them to live longer, healthier, and more engaged lives. We stand at a crossroads. We stand at a crossroads. We stand at a crossroads. The demographic path we are on is leading us toward a future of smaller, older societies. This is not necessarily a catastrophe, but it is a fundamental change that demands a response. We face a choice. One path is to do nothing, to allow these trends to unfold without a plan. This would likely lead to decades of economic stagnation. This would likely lead to social strain. This would likely lead to a slow-motion decline for many nations. Towns will continue to empty. Pension systems will buckle under the pressure. The world map of economic and political power will be redrawn, with youthful, growing nations gaining influence at the expense of aging, shrinking ones. This is a future of managed decline, a world of closing doors, fading horizons. A second path is to resist this change forcefully, to use every tool of the state to push birth rates back up. Massive financial incentives, strong nationalist rhetoric. These efforts rarely succeed in the long term, as they push against the powerful currents of economic reality and personal freedom. They can also come with a high social cost, creating pressure on women, reducing family life to a matter of state policy. This path risks spending vast resources for little gain, while failing to address the underlying reasons why people are choosing to have fewer children in the first place. But there is a third way. This is the path of adaptation and intelligent design. It is a future where we accept that population growth may no longer be the primary engine of progress. Instead, we can focus on building better societies, more resilient societies, more equitable societies. This path involves making life easier and more joyful for families. Supportive policies like affordable childcare, flexible work. It means welcoming immigrants not as a quick fix, but as new partners in the project of nation building, investing in their success. It means using technology to enhance productivity, redesigning our cities and communities to support the young, and to support the old. It means focusing on the quality of life, not just the quantity of people. This third path is not the easiest, but it is the most hopeful. The story of our planet's population is entering a new chapter. For the first time, we are facing the prospect of a world where human numbers in many places will decline. This can feel like a story of loss, of disappearance, but it does not have to be. It can also be a story of transition, of our species adapting to a new equilibrium. A world with a stable or gently declining population could be a world with less pressure on natural resources. It could be a world where we focus on sustainability. And one focused on regeneration. A smaller population is not inherently weaker if it is better educated, if it is healthier, if it is more innovative. The future of a nation is not written in its birth rate alone. It is written in its capacity to adapt and care for all its people. The power to shape this future rests in our hands. It lies in the choices we make as individuals, and the choices we make as societies. Young people can and should be empowered to think about the lives they want to lead, and be given support to build those lives, whether those lives include a large family or a small one. Communities can create networks of support that make raising children a shared joy rather than a private burden. Leaders have a profound responsibility to look beyond short-term political cycles and to enact brave, long-term policies that make societies more family-friendly, more welcoming, more resilient. The challenge is clear. The time to act is now. This is not a message of despair. It is one of urgent optimism. Humanity is a remarkably adaptable species. We have faced immense challenges before, and we have overcome them through ingenuity, through cooperation, through our capacity for care. This demographic shift is another such challenge. It asks us to be thoughtful, to plan, and to put the well-being of future generations at the center of our thinking.